Pleased to be joined on the hotline now by the head coach of the Longhorn softball team, Mike White. Mike, I'll start off with the true confessions thing. And Cameron just said that when it was 2 on with nobody out and 2 in scoring position there, and Tegan really just tasked with the opportunity of trying to find a way to get out of that inning and keep the game alive and moving on to the next frame on Friday night. From the Department of True Confessions, what was going through your mind at that time?
Lord, find a way to find a double play line drive. So.
that was something else, but that says an awful lot about the resilience of your ball club, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, it's never over till it's over, and that was true testament to that situation. I mean, a lot of things could have happened to score a run, and to get a strikeout was big. That's another glimmer of hope, a little more pressure on the next hitter, and then a soft line drive. Then it just had to make sure that, hey, you've done all the hard work, now finish it, and she was able to do that.
Did it also, because Tegan had her own challenges in the run-up to that, how instrumental, how important was it? I mean, she's a kid with a lot of confidence anyway, but still in all, to have the success realized in the most crucial of moments, you think that's also a little bit of that little mental psychological boost for someone who'd had a tribulation or two in recent days?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, without being inside her head and knowing exactly what she's saying to herself in those moments, for her, the ability, and especially, the night before, she didn't pitch that well, got hit around a little bit. So to bounce back the next day and come out and throw what I consider was a real gritty game, she was very, very good. I mean, you could just see the movement on the ball was better. Her confidence was higher. When the chips were down there because of what happened, she was able to just kind of really seal the deal. It was awesome to see.
You also got a gritty performance from Mac Morgan before going back to Tegan, and then Mac with things being closed out. How important was it too for a veteran like that for Mac to step up in the circle for you?
Yeah, it kind of reminded me a little bit when we went to Sophia Simpson back in Arkansas in the Super Regionals, and we needed a huge performance in that situation because Dulcini was just wore out. And the same thing happened here. We knew that Tegan was unlikely to go 7 innings just because of fatigue and everything, and we knew someone had to step up, and we just felt Mac was the one. Hadn't pitched a whole lot and would be strong, and she didn't disappoint us at all.
I'm curious how your conversations with her work, because the last time that she'd been forward was the unfortunate game for everybody against Texas A&M, and for her to step into that moment, clearly you've got a great deal of confidence in her, and I know she's confident herself, but is that also, even before those games come around, knowing that you're probably going to have to rely on her in a crucial moment, do you have a conversation with her about those kinds of things?
Yeah, absolutely. You always kind of telling them, hey, be ready, get ready, whatever happens, happened. And it's what we do, but going forward. And, we told her that, and she was able to believe in that. And, she was ready. She showed no signs of any kind of worry at all. She was just had that look in her eyes, really steely look, and said, give me the ball. I'm going to get this done.
Okay, so we've been talking about the pitching side of it, but you also got some clutch hitting as well. I think about Katie Stewart driving in, Mia Scott on the sac bunt, and then Jolie Mitchell with coming in on the wild pitch to get up 5-1, and so you had even the Caden Henry ground out that scored Ashton Maloney from third. I mean, those are important things, right? Because that's the total team thing at work, the dynamic, isn't it? Where everybody's kind of pitching in and contributing to the cause.
Yeah, just find a way, and I think we found a way. It wasn't pretty a lot of times. I mean, I think their runs were probably scored prettier, if you want to use a word, than ours. But it didn't matter. We scored one more than they did, and that's what really matters. And it doesn't matter how, it's how many. And we certainly were part of that saying for sure. I just love the grit we showed and determination, and just found a way to get it done.
Visiting with Mike White, Texas softball coach here on 1300 The Zone. The other player I want to ask you about, and we were talking, I've already brought up some of the obvious ones there, but the other player that I want to ask you about, who's really come up and gotten some big moments for you is Leanne Good. And here's somebody who's batting 299, but coming up with some key plays on both sides of it. And again, rolling back to finding a way, isn't it? When you have some other players, maybe the stat might not be quite as gaudy as somebody else, but still coming through with clutch moments for you on both sides.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you go back to her, freshman and sophomore year, she was pretty reliable hitter for us, and did a great job, and roamed throughout the order anywhere from 2 or 3 up to like 7 or 8. But this year was more in a struggle than normal, and she was letting that affect everything else she was doing, and so we just kind of tried to take some pressure off. I said, "Hey, we're going to leave you down the 7-8 area, and just worry about your defense. We need you defensively right now, and just let things happen." And I think she was talking to herself in the right way and understanding that she didn't have to do it all offensively for us. We just wanted her to contribute, and lo and behold, she ended up more than contributing. She really kind of led the bottom half of that lineup.
It's been over 2 months since you last played Florida, and that was the deal with the things getting pushed back with the weather, and then wound up with the doubleheader Saturday and the Monday game as well. How much of your own team's experience in that weekend series in Gainesville is factored into the preparation as opposed to the way you view them now and how your own team is performing right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a stronger team now than they were at the start of the SEC season. They've got their number one ace back, Keegan Rothrock, who's been their premier pitcher the last couple of years. Now, we did face her last year in the College World Series and did well, but it doesn't always mean you're going to do the same thing again. But we do have some experience with her, and so we kind of know what she's going to bring to the table. But we've just got to focus on what we can control, and that is how we pitch, how we play defense, the energy we bring, and just quality at bats against a good team, and see where the chips fall.
Is this still an evaluative thing for you and the staff with regard to who you want to start in the circle on Thursday, or is it the default to go with Tegan?
Well, we have our mind made up. I'm not going to kind of spill the beans
Right.
on that one, but I know what the order we're going to do and how we're going to play it at this point. And it's as in the College World Series, it's so important to try to get definitely the first win for sure, and the second one's a bonus without a doubt, because then you get 2 lives going into the Sunday half of the bracket. So that's also important. But the first one is really that's big.
But Mike, as often as you've taken teams to Oklahoma City, and as often as you've taken the Texas program to Oklahoma City, how regular do you try to keep things, as opposed to obviously the enjoyment of the experience for the student athletes, but by the same token, a business trip, all that kind of stuff that kind of gets melded together? How do you view it through the prism of getting a team ready to play on the highest stage?
Yeah, we talked about that this morning and just said there's going to be, unfortunately, there's only 4 players that haven't been there before. The rest of the squad, the other 16 players are all there last year, and that's a bonus for us. And there's going to be a lot of bells and whistles and a lot of events and a lot of things, like we go to barbecue tonight, and there's All Americans. I think the one of the top freshmen of the year is being announced, which we don't have one in that race right now. But there's just a lot of other stuff, and then tomorrow's a lot of media, a lot of ESPN shoots and special things they do, and so they'll take up a lot of our day, and then we have a day of practice, or an hour and a half of practice. So it should keep us pretty busy. But and then of course we have the first game on Thursday, which I think is good because with the weather issues sometimes here in OKC, you can get pushed back. I remember a year where we had UCLA in Oregon when I was coaching in Oregon. We didn't start till close to midnight. Just because of the weather delays.
Wow, something else. Hey, I appreciate you taking the time in a busy time, and wish you all the best of success here. We'll obviously be carrying the broadcast live on Thursday, and we'll look forward to the team doing really well in OKC. Thanks so much, Mike. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Craig. I appreciate it. Hook 'em horns. Let's go.
That's Mike White, Texas softball coach, joining us from Oklahoma City.